Hiya guys, Mark here on Celtic Crossbows. Tonight we're looking at the Steambow Stinger 2 survival crossbow. More importantly, we're looking at the sighting system, what you can do to improve it, what options you have such as the AR series scope, or even going fully tactical and custom with handmade sights. If this is what you've been looking for and interested, stay tuned. Alright guys, okay, we've had one or two messages here on the channel where people are saying about the performance or lack of the sighting system on the survival. Well, I got a couple of things for you which will help your sighting system, and one of the key things being is such a short ramp, and she's quite tall as well. What you can do to improve your situation, and obviously the longer your sighting plane, the more accurate you're going to be, hence the legendary sharps as using Quigley. With a 36-38 inch in length, the longer your sighting plane, the better your accuracy over long range. Of course, we're not going to be using these over 1,000 yards, same as the sharps, but the same principles apply. The longer the range, the longer the length between the rear Picatinny mount and the front post, the better your sights are going to be. First one we're going to look at is the AR series rifle scope, or more importantly a crossbow scope. There is a difference, same as a difference between an air rifle scope and a firearm scope. A spring gun has more recoil than a firearm. Fact, a recoil presses one way with the direction, whereas a spring gun like a YRAC 80 has a whip effect and it'll knacker the crosses quickly in a cheap scope. Crossbows are exactly the same. If you've got a cheap scope, it won't take the hammering which it would take from something like a 38 caliber rifle. So the crossbow scopes and air rifle scopes, spring air rifle scopes, are actually built a lot stronger. So here's our scope. A quick look around the box to show you get AR series scope 4x32. Ideally for a survival crossbow, which is what we're going to use this for, is as basic a spec as possible. The less to go wrong, the longer it'll last. That's the general rule. If you're going with red, infrared sights, etc. built in the scope, blah blah blah, we're using batteries, it means there's more to go wrong. There's all the Austria contact details and everything there. UPC AR series 4x32 scope. Any other information I know? No. Very straightforward, very basic. Okay, so let's get it open and see what we got. Okay. Our instructions, it looks like a Zeiss scope, a German scope. The printing is very similar to a Zeiss scope. Zeiss or Zeiss, car Zeiss. And as soon as our mounts, box is empty, okay. We got some anti-misting gel. Okay, we've got some lens caps, that's good to see. Is there a zoom function here? No, it's not. I thought it might be a zoom ring on the back. Looks like it could be on a higher spec model. There's a grub screw in there. Okay, first appearance. Nice, clean, presentable. Nitrogen filled, anti-fog. 4x32 Steambow. She's a lovely, compact, decent little scope. Can we see through the optics? Let's have a look. So we can get them on, get them optics. Oh, there we are. So a good clear picture through there. It's night time now, it's 2 o'clock in the morning. So we'll have a good look at the sight picture later in the day. Okay, let's have a look at our mounts. Right, okay. Now unfortunately I can see a failure here straight away. You've got high mounts on a short range scope. I would say short range. We won't be using this scope for ranges in excess of I would say 35-40 yards. So these mounts are quite tall, which will give you a significant amount of a holdover on your target. Okay, let's have a look. Open them up, let's have a look at the quality. If these scopes was used on something like a 12-pound air rifle, you'd want to be having your first zero at about 20 yards and your second zero at around about 45 yards. You'd not be going to be doing that with a crossbow. Even higher level crossbow, high poundage, you want much lower mounts. You want a nice low profile mount, so an inch shorter I would say. But we'll fit them and see how she looks. Okay, so let's bring the camera over a little bit, bring her up, let's have a look. First of all, we've got to put our rings on. We're going to see how it fits across here. We've got our LED fibre, whatever you want to call it, there. So let's see how the mounts first of all cope with that in a way. Do we have to remove the mounts to fit over that? No, it looks like they actually, where the front sight is here, it is slightly raised in the mounting. I haven't looked at the instruction manuals, but I would say this needs to come out to move the sight mounting forward, because it will not sit, the bridge of the scope mount will not clear the front fibre optic. Okay, let's have a look at the fitting the rear mount and see how she goes. Scope mounts are on, ring caps are in place, and the scope's in place. Scope caps, they're not completely screwed down, they're firm but they're not tight. I need this for set up my crosshairs for lining up, afterwards for zeroing scoping. Now as you can see here now how high the rings are, the mounts are, to the flight deck of the scope. This is going to give you around a 2.5, 3 inch, about a 3 inch holdover on your target. By the time you go up to 10 feet it could be 6 inches, by the time you go up to 20 feet it could be 40 inches. In this event, if that happens, the rear half of your scope here, slacking your caps back off and using a piece of cardboard inside from something like a Kellogg's cornflakes packet, cut it the same width as the strip here of the scope mount, slide it underneath and put it down. It'll angle the scope downhill. This will give you your zero back into place, but it gives you another offset against the one, because the scope is not angled down. So if your first in point will be at 15 yards, you have to lift your scope up then. So I try to bring this in, so if I bring my hand, as you can see what I'm talking about. If the scope is lying true and your trajectory peaks below the maximum altitude at say 25 yards, you only get 1 point of aim. So by canting your scope slightly downhill, by putting a shim in the back, you now give yourself 2 points of zero, say 15 and 35 yards. So this is one thing you need to do, is if it's using a stick with a high mount, is cant the scope in the rear, pack a scope in the rear. That's what I would strongly recommend. We will remove our rings, our top shells, and fit the scope. I'm going to boy with this, so you've got to press pause again here. Okay, we're going to look at fit and feel now and lining up the scope and making sure our eye relief is as it should be. It's not this case where the firearm, the recoil come back and smack you in the eye and give you a really bad cut, or in some cases lose your eye on a high power rifle like a 50. But it does recoil nonetheless, and it will hurt your eye socket. So we're just going to look down now. Okay, our scope is off centre. Pick a complete vertical with a horizontal to line the crosshairs up against. So a door frame, this is good. And you quite literally just catch hold of your scope, turn it. you look at the vertical of the side of your crossbow. So I got my upright there, so I can see I'm upright there, and I threw the scope. Take a little twiddle, so I'm checking the outside line. My mounts, they are exactly horizontal, vertical. I come up to the 90 degrees of the door frame. I'm checking, and as you do, you keep checking. Slightly off kilter, smidge the other way. And as to do, tighten it up. I've not been 100% anal with it. If I've been doing this in field target shooting, I would have my spirit level on the back of my action, spirit level on the scope mount, and using a plumb bob on a target at about 35-40 yards to line it up. But being such a not as finely tuned piece of equipment as my old day state, I'm not too worried. So you're going to clamp it up now, and that's them done. Now, if you want to see it being used, I'm going to join the video below of my mega bolts test, because this is where now I'm switching over to my mega bolts test, which is all part of the same video processes. This is a full day's filming, so you can see that now, that part there, over on the video bolts test. The link is below. Right then, so I'm going to bring it into the show now, look at the sights and give you my opinion. Right, you can see now, that bridge there, that's pushing right into my cheek. That's where I need to be for a good sight picture, and that's pushing right into my cheek, and that hurts. So I think I would need to take a file and take this ridge off here to make it fit better. Scope rail is really itself is too low. It needs to be higher, and it needs to be something on the front, I think, your length. Now the one thing which I am a little bit concerned about, this foresight here, we're going to take it apart now, look, because this, you see is there, that's moving around, that shouldn't be moving at all. That's going to give you bad accuracy. So back in 10 seconds guys, I'm going to whip this off and have a look. Alright, I have the rear sight apart now. So what you have to do is, first of all, you take off your finger. That's held in place by a little screw inside. You take that out of the way, and you see the mechanism inside for the front sight adjustment. There's a grub screw, you can see here, running on 2 rails here. The grub screw pushes against the blade and slides back and forth. Excellent little idea. I like it, I really do. The only problem is, because it's only held at the bottom of the top, you've got this play in the sight here, as you can see, and 1mm here, 30 yards down range, is going to be 2 or 3 feet. So what I would say is, if you're going to stick with the notch system in the rear and the front fibre, as you can get on camera, a little bit of light on situation, and I'll play ball. We're going to stick with this front fibre here. Yeah. Because I was looking in the reverse. So you're going to stick with this front fibre here. What you want to do, see those gaps inside there guys? Bit of cardboard, bit of plastic film, 1mm film, stuff it in either side. That'll stop that play in that side, okay? So solve that problem. You haven't got to take it out to do it. If you look down from the top, there's sufficient gap there, a little bit of plastic sheet, fold it over, spot of super glue, nothing too crazy, literally 1 dot, slip it down the side, hold it, and it'll eliminate that wobble in the foresight. What are we going to do with these sights, and what are we going to tackle this problem? As I said, my opinion with the new sight block, although it's got the excellent new safety catch to stop the string coming out any way, shape or form, it does that job perfectly. I think we need to take a step backwards, go back to the Stinger one, which is a much lower sight body. It doesn't have the extra safety catch, so you are the safety catch. Remember that. If you fall and it comes back and it goes through you, that's your fault. Okay then guys, so what have I done to solve this little quandary of ours? If you're lucky enough to kept your sights off your old Mark 1 EK Cobra, they will fit. There's a different thread in the rear on the receiver, so you'll have to find a screw which will fit in the back, but the front sights fit perfectly. So we look at the sight now. My face is no longer rammed down into the stock to get the sight picture. My cheek now is at the correct relief. I no longer have to push my face up on top. So look, I'm back down in now, and I got a really good bead on target. I now got fully adjustable sights for windage and elevation with thumb screws rather than using an Allen key. Again, in a soil situation, something you don't want to lose your Allen key, you can sight your crossbow. The front is plastic. It's designed to fold away. So if it's hit, it'll just fold. Whereas the other type, the rigid types, you can't do nothing with them. Once they're in place, that's it. So personally, if it was me then, for my money, and it is my money, I wouldn't go for the Series 2 mount. I would use the money instead to get an old Mark 1 EK Cobra, take the sights off this and put the sights onto here. Also at the same time, it will drop the height of the rail and make it much easier for fitting your scope, which we'll have a look at now. So we now fitted our Steambow Scope onto the lower EK scope rail. As we can see now, it's much lower to the rail, and we can still see the open sights through now with the hollow sight, the hollow mounts. So with the hollow mounts in place, bringing the camera, when I look through there now, I can still see the bead on the front. I can see the bead on the rear from here, which is the remains of the rear blade sight. And I can still line up underneath, so should I smash my scope, I still got a rudimentary twin post system, which is what's on the Steambow Stinger 2. So it's effectively the same sights on your Stinger 2. It was twin post, non-adjustable, and you can quickly change between the two sighting pictures. I think is a much better design, much better for the scope, and that's if you don't want straps to permanently lock your string. If this is more appealing to you, locking your string in place, go with it. It's a great system. I myself, I prefer this system. You can just bring it back. You haven't got a safety catch, you're the safety catch. And it works perfectly. So next time we're going to have a look at shooting now with the lower mount and with the lower scope mount, and see how it improves our groups. Okay then guys, thanks for watching this week. Hit the old like button, share the like, subscribe. We'll put one of my Hornets to good use. And with that we say thanks and bye bye.